Imagine if I told you that she wasn't lying she lied because she didn't mean to hurt you. She claimed to be aware of the reality herself. Desired allegiance, she claimed you were all of her dreams. And in that, she believed it for a time, but belief isn't biology, and what she was saying was something more profound or older than love her without realizing it. Long ago, Freud recognized the true cause. Good guys are left behind by women, and it's not what they claim, it's their feelings when the pain makes the truth you hold evaporate. Disregarding the fact that she stayed because you were too tender for her to pull away. She left because you were too nice, because she felt secure and protected. Does it not feel like love pain? Believed she desired tranquility, therefore you granted it to her. Sincerity, devotion, and concern, but on the inside she has a wound that mutters if it's not love, but it doesn't hurt. So when you made her feel secure and at ease, didn't sense anything, not even a spark. She lacks emotional fire, excitement, and upheaval. The body became accustomed to love that is painful, that causes you to feel nervous, love that departs. You're speculating, and when she wasn't feeling significant discomfort in your nervous system, drew away, focusing on her body rather than her head. She tried you for that reason, began to act aloof to see if you pursued in order to experience that ancient survival excitement. But when you maintained your composure when she disappeared without you causing any controversy, although you were mistaken, but because of her, she was told by someone, this isn't real. The majority of males do not want to face the truth. See, but now you're following Freud's advice to unconsciousness always prevails. Freud revealed a harsh reality that most individuals don't make decisions with complete knowledge. Although people believe they do, it's their unconscious mind, the underlying component that creates the choices in Freud's views on women thought. They reside much nearer to that unconscious universe, the kind grin, the honest statements in a calm voice, such as, I wish something reliable because I'm sick of games. Only desire loyalty. She believes it at that time, but the body recalls another item, that tension, mayhem, and agony that wants feel as though her nervous system is receiving affection. Taught for survival rather than peace, so when you arrive with kindness, safety, and emotional fortitude, according to her outward self, yes, but she begins to feel unconsciously restless. No rush, no chase, no adrenaline roller coaster of emotions. So she withdraws without understanding why. Freud would say, it's her, not her reasoning. Injuries that cause her to suffer, and if you don't observe that, you will continue to blame yourself for an action she never really took, and why you never showed her enough love. Everything she said, she wished you were faithful, you were constant, you didn't tell lies, play games that brought her serenity and attention, love and integrity, which is precisely why, not because you were, she withdrew. Incorrect, not because you weren't sufficient, but as you didn't encourage the addiction, she was nervous, but she was unaware of it. System for which her body was prepared. Something different to add confusion and tension to ache that she discovered. Someplace in her past, because love entails ignorance of what love entails. Desiring love may lead to highs and lows. Perhaps it comes from a parent who lived far away, originated either from her initial sadness or from years of poisonous partnerships. in which the pain never went away, but it helped to mold her. It created a secret pattern within her, and according to that pattern, if love doesn't hurt, it's not real. Thus, when you arrived, you were calm, open, and stable. But she was unsure of how to feel her instincts, but her body missed the pandemonium, looked for the drama that caused you to become confused. She desired passion over boredom, but her neurological system interprets passion as agony, games of uncertainty and jealousy, and you were the remedy, but none of that applied to her. She continued to adore the illness. She pulled away for that reason. What she said was, "Something feels off. Need room," or worse, she simply vanished. It had nothing to do with you. On her addiction to mental distress, she panicked after you offered her tranquility, because tranquility seemed strange, and strange doesn't feel like love to her. Didn't flee due of the weakness of your affection. Because your love was too intense, she fled. She fled in order for her previous wounds to hold. The quiet she experienced during the drama halted the silence that made her feel her true self, to confront her feelings in order to face the internal turmoil, and that she couldn't manage that. So no, regardless of how sincere, truthful, and devoted, you are where your affection wasn't sufficient, not because it was worthless, but since she didn't understand how to get it the most men lose. You believed she had moved on to another man. A more charming guy has more money. Assurance, but in reality, you weren't battling another man that you were battling. You were fighting something in her past. Invisible, something that is not visible to you, but felt each time she removed it. Was trauma, not rejection, and she wasn't leaving because it wasn't about you. She was running because you were weak, because she was anxious and you were safe. The system was unsure on how to handle that. "I want peace," her thinking murmured, but her body had been trained, love, in disarray, and this is the most difficult element, to acknowledge that she was unaware of what she was doing. That's why giving her hurt so much. Love, devotion, stability, serenity, and in return, you have a distance of bewilderment. Explains a chilly farewell, not because she intended to harm you, but due to her. The sound of her unconscious mind was louder than mindful words. So when she informed you, "You're too kind. I need room. It's me, you." She thought she was statement, but it was outdated and lacked sense. Her wounds were not cured by programming, and dragged her back into what felt like familiar, and pain was what felt familiar. She didn't pick a better one. Decided on the sensation her body had been prepared to endure, and you were in her, the wrong man at the wrong time. The majority of guys break here for healing. They believe that I wasn't sufficient. If I had, she would remain here, but none of it's true. That you weren't falling behind you were battling a ghost, better man. Shadow that was linked from her past into a cycle in her nervous system that she doesn't even recognize that she's stuck in. And if you don't comprehend this, you'll hold yourself responsible for something you never, because you will continue to seek closure from someone who is unable to even describe what occurred. You'll be wasting your energy fighting in someone else's conflict. So the truth is that you have to accept who you are. You're lost to a version of her, not to her. She was never prepared to receive love and tranquility. Freud gave you power, but Freud didn't simply reveal the scars he caused her. Something much stronger in terms of clarity, the capacity to monitor the game beforehand. Most guys start by believing that love will fix her for being dependable. Caring and devoted will win her affection. But Freud saw the deeper reality. That won't ease her suffering love. You cannot make her trauma go away by simply being. You cannot gain someone's devotion by being gentle. Who doesn't believe in peace because what the majority of men fail to comprehend when a woman's pain controls her. Love turns into a danger. Her wounds yearn for mayhem, training of the nervous system for highs and lows, and when you arrive composed and secure, instead of feeling like love, it feels more like dullness, emptiness, and danger. Therefore, how come you no longer pay attention to her words and you begin observing her intuition, since her words will reveal? She believed what she told you, but she lives by that reality in her behavior. Instead of control, Freud's gift was the power to break free from control. You don't stand up for someone who keeps leaving. You don't tell them how valuable you are. You don't chase after someone who keeps forgetting it. The form of her that appears exclusively in when you're in a good mood. You become her everything. Unconscious, never anticipated being still. You see, passive is anchored rather than weak. Her pattern without flinching. When she withdraws, you don't beg. When she tests you, don't panic. When she becomes cold, you stay and collapse. Tranquil, as you now understand that it's not about you see, it's about the war she's engaged in. As she attempts to drag and with herself, you don't respond when you enter her storm. Reflect, you turn into the visible mirror, the truth to her without using words. Through feeling, but via your unwavering presence of a man who isn't requires. Her approval from a man who is no longer feeds her drama, with a man who isn't dances although she is perplexed, and that the pattern is broken by that. Control, not rage, but understanding of why she not even able to love without losing herself when she desires love, despite the fact that a piece of her remains in every word she speaks. Withdraws not out of cruelty, but due to the fact that she is playing games, but because to her, true love feels risky, implies letting go and allowing someone to enter. Allowing someone to see her in her entirety, and for an emotional survival-shaped woman, that's frightening, because love needs giving up, and giving up entails losing authority, and in her universe, authority is security. So even if you're the man she requested, despite your constant kindness, safe and anchored, as soon as she begins to, she panics because she feels too passionately in love. Opens her, and when you've left opening armor after years of use feels like a danger. So she does what she pulls, returning to avoid hurting you, not because she's lost curiosity, but because of a component of her, the unconscious mind begins to murmur, avoid losing yourself and don't rely on him. Avoid getting too close to this aspect of her. Old, having been produced by the past moments of betrayal and abandonment where she needed someone, but nobody showed up. So now, even when she encounters a decent man with a powerful, stable, affectionate man, but she rejects him because it feels like giving up to love him. Power and how it feels to her body danger. So she puts some distance between, blames her mood, and claims to be perplexed. She claims to require space, yet it's not about space, but rather the fear of being gentle and afraid of being seen, being safe at last, but unsure of how to experience that quiet. Additionally, if you don't comprehend this, you'll believe. You made a mistake, but did she not distance herself from you? She is renouncing the version of herself who is incapable of loving fearlessly, and until she confronts that, until she discovers that the relationship must forfeit her identity, she will continue to choose authority over proximity, distance versus depth, power versus peace, not because she wants to part ways with you, but because she lacks the ability to love without losing herself. The conflict between her two personalities in her Freud stated, a person is not one but numerous. And with regards to women, he thought something much more sinister. Every woman has two thoughts, one of which desires one who seeks chaos and one who seeks tranquility, that longs for a secure connection and tranquility, and one that is designed to malfunction exact items after they're provided, and this is where she poses the greatest risk, is unsure of who is in charge, until it's too late and you encounter her, as she is the first person in her light. She reveals that she demands loyalty, considers you to be everything she had been anticipating, and in that she isn't lying at the time. She truly means, because the tender aspect of her, she texts because her conscious self is in charge. She first creates plans and envisions a future with you, but after that, something changes. It can be a chance moment and emotionally elicit a silent voice within. This is too much. What if, she says. I don't sense the spark after he leaves. No more. Suddenly, the second thought awakens the shadow, which is not malevolent or harsh, simply wild and unconcerned about peace, is unable to recall the promises. It simply knows that you were kind. Run one thing. You didn't change, rather, she did. She simply moved into the other. She always carried herself, which is why you're perplexed, since one day she said I didn't want to lose you. The following she vanishes silently, not because she lied, but her initial thought made the promise was broken by her second thoughts. According to Freud, this is the tragedy most. Men don't realize that you're not interacting with, you're fighting a war with a woman. There is a part of her that wants to. The second portion sees you as you build, as a jail she must leave, not due to the fact that you caught her, but because suffocation is what safety feels like to the what about the part of her that never healed occurs. She departs, leaving you alone, pondering, did she say anything true? And the response is both yes and no. Actual at the time, but it wasn't definitive, because unless she resolves the internal conflict, no man will ever make her feel at home, admiring her words and seeing her intuition, words that sound lovely. I've never felt anything real before. In this manner, before I finish my games. And as soon as you start to believe her eyes are gentle, and her speech is quiet. Her assurances seem sincere. But this is what you would have heard from Freud. Instinct is she, and words are not reality. Make claim that she desires eternity. What if the behavior doesn't match that? This isn't what I feel, she said. Where the majority of men fall, you trusted her, since she seemed genuine, but you forgot that her biology dictates what she does. It's not an issue if her brain does it before insult, it's a reality. Drawback silence tests. It all occurs before she is even aware of it. She is acting on her intuition, which is why our old having developed long before romantic dinners or love letters, and if you will continue to be captivated by her poems, constantly lag behind her reality by 2 steps. You'll respect her motives and disregard, you'll believe her excuses if you trust her instincts, and miss her habits, which you will attempt to correct a link that was never intended to finally. The harsh reality is that she isn't. She's speaking from a place of deception to harm you, a portion of herself while being guided by. So, what do? Do you stop? You begin by listening with optimism, observing well what time she does. How does she behave while you're calling? Unavailable, does she lean in the direction of you can? Observe her neurological system without her lips, as the body is always truthful. Freud's caution is straightforward. Stop love because unconsciousness usually prevails. What she says, then begin to observe what she only, then will you cease to be her, following and begin acting as her man, the man who can't be forgotten by. Instincts be moved. This is the beginning of your power, not while attempting to mend her, nor when you try to keep her from bending yourself in order to keep her as your. When you cease relying on her, power starts. You become the one to feel like a guy, something her unconscious didn't anticipate. A man who doesn't flee when he sees her suffering, who senses her withdrawal, but doesn't chase, who doesn't monitor her shift. She tests you with her explanations. You remain motionless and quiet, and she withdraws. She punishes you for not following her. You smile emotionally, not cruelly, but clarity, as you finally comprehend she was never the focus of this. Rather, it was about if you could maintain your composure in her unconscious chaos's storm. Most men fold when they become upset. Over-explained, they beg. They attempt to correct things that are beyond her comprehension herself, but you remain calm and centered. Concentrated, you don't quarrel or plead. You don't turn into the boy who is attempting to make you continue to be the man who doesn't love her. She's the man who moved for games, respects her even if she leaves. Even if she disappears, she will still blame you, because she will remember deep. Inside, the strength, clarity, and silence that did not seek out her suffering, and that she is haunted by a memory more than your. What could the final mirror of love ever be? What you believed about you is revealed by her pain. This concerned her falsehoods and silence, her abrupt transformation and icy responses, yet she was never the story she told. Was simply the mirror of everything she caused you to get confused and panicked. The rage and the self-pity, she didn't realize it was already inside of you. Make the wound, which she revealed when she pulled away, but she wasn't the only one going. It was something far more ancient. The child within you that was disregarded, the one who developed, was the one who wasn't chosen. Raised thinking that in order to be loved he had to sufficient, which is why it didn't break you, considering that she was the one, but also because she restored your sense of the missing boy, and the majority of guys never understand that she wasn't rejecting you. Rather, she was conveying to you the last message from Freud wasn't about women. Rather, it focused on the portions of yourself that you've buried, unintentional injuries to your patterns. The aspects of you that continue to seek approval must yet be selected in order to feel complete. You sought relief rather than love from the void, and when she arrived along, stated everything that needed